Nelson Semedo, will he stay or will he go? Now, we knew that this week was going to be really important for Wolves. I mentioned it, I think, on my podcast and my last transfer video, really. It would have been quite important for us to know for sure whether the likes of Semedo, possibly even Pablo Sarabia, were staying at the club or if they were going to be leaving. So on Sunday, we could give them a proper send-off in our final Premier League game of the season at Molineux. We've had it over the last few years where there have been players that have moved on. We haven't really given them a proper send-off. So I felt like this period now between the Palace game and Sunday, it would have been interesting to know what was happening with these players. Now, Nelson Semedo's contract situation has been a talking point, definitely since the turn of the year, but pretty much all season, really. Should Wolves keep him? Should Wolves let him go? What terms should he be on? How long the contract should be? And I've never been, I'll be completely honest, never been that bothered about letting Nelson go until Tuesday, to be honest, when I watched the performances. And I think you look at Gary O'Neill and Vitor Pereira, both of them restricting the game time of Rodrigo Gomez and Pedro Lima, potentially suggesting that those two players aren't quite ready. And I definitely saw that at Selhurst Park. So now I sort of think it is even more important for Nelson to be staying around at Molineux for at least another year or so. Now, earlier in this week, earlier in the week, sorry, I was told that he is more than likely going to be going now, unless there is a big change. He is off. We then saw pictures emerging of Nelson Semedo's house in Tetnall with the removal vans outside. Not too sure if it's the best picture to upload, but with his wife literally stood outside the house. But you know what? He did the rounds. And then today there has been a photo leaked as well, which I'll flag up on the screen, of Nelson, or what seems to be doing some sort of video in the middle of the pitch at Molineux. Very similar to obviously the Ruben Neves video that we had when Neves moved on. So seems like that was it. We think he was going, and then within an hour or so of that picture emerging online, we had a post from Liam Keane suggesting that Wolves have put a contract offer on the table for Nelson Semedo, around 4-year deal on the table, unsure on terms or anything like that. But that video was being recorded in the event of Nelson Semedo leaving Wolves. Now, for me, I mean, there's so many things to take out of this. Firstly, for me, I think the club are being extremely fair. If you're offering a 31-year-old a 4-year contract, obviously depending on the rate and the salary, of course, but that's an extremely generous length of contract for a player of that age. If it's close to or on similar terms to what he's on at the moment, there's no denying the fact that Nelson is one of our highest earners. I think Wolves want to try and come away from that a little bit. Pablo Sarabia is, Gonzalo Gedge is up there as well. So they're players, and Cunha obviously will be, they're players that Wolves will probably want to try and come away from in the summer. And Wolves are probably giving Nelson a very good contract, which can probably only be rivaled by teams in Saudi Arabia. And we don't know whether Nelson Semedo wants to go out there, of course. Now, I think that's generous on the Wolves side of things, if the salary and stuff lines up with what I've just said. But also, if a player has got removal vans outside of his house and he's doing a goodbye video, surely that means he's going to be leaving the club. Why would you do a goodbye video if you're still considering staying at the club? I don't know. It's a little bit strange, to be honest. But it is the curse of the captain, isn't it? Connor Cody, captain at Wolves, left. Ruben Neves, then captain of Wolves, left the summer after. Max Kilman, then captain of Wolves, left the summer after. Mario Lemina, captain of Wolves, albeit he was stripped of his captaincy, but left just a couple of weeks later. And now Nelson Semedo, the new captain, and seems to be quite positive. The noise in around Molineux and Compton Park about Nelson's stint as captain has been positive, and we've certainly seen an upturn in form with him having the captain's armband, obviously alongside Vitor Pereira coming in as well. So interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Nelson's going to stay? If I'm completely honest now, I'm pretty much 80 to 90% sure that he's going to be leaving the club. The tweet from Liam Keane gave me a glimmer of hope that maybe he will be staying. But like I said earlier, I was never that bothered, but I just think small alarm bells in my head are ringing that why are Rodrigo Gomez and Pedro Lima not getting time? Are they not ready yet? And maybe we do need another year or two of Nelson Semedo before we can really bed these players and youngsters in. You got to think a player of Nelson Semedo's quality. How much would Wolves have to pay in terms of a transfer fee and wages and signing on fee to bring in a player of that quality? And hopefully, you see Pedro Lima or Rodrigo Gomez kick on a little bit over the next 12 to 18 months. So it would be great if we could keep Nelson, but in my opinion, the signs aren't looking that positive anyway. But yeah, like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. Hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.